Alright, now another thing I want to do today, which is only actually, believe it or not, may take me 5 minutes, and it will actually be a little bit of a help to me. So for 5 minutes, for me to take a detour from things that really must be done to things that has to get done, but doesn't have to get done like right now. However, I want to take 5 minutes and do it like right now. I've got a 2-meter antenna, base antenna, outside on a pole that used to be on the old roof. Well, actually, it was attached to the side of the building, the old building, and went through the overhang of the old roof. It's a 2-meter antenna, so it works for 2 meter. Well, actually, it works anywhere from 136 to 174. It's got a pretty good spectrum on it. SWRs don't, well, they really don't go anything more than 1.9, which it's a little high for 2 meter, but again, that's the high. Most of my frequencies, it hovers between 1.3 and 1.7, and again, that's fine. So anyway, I got to get that up only because I still do some communication work with the Coast Guard. Again, I'm an amateur radio operator, so I'm actually thinking about setting up a little corner out here just for that. Now, what I was going to do was I was going to set up this little nook. A nook. I have a nook. I was going to set up this little area here. Once I get it cleaned and painted, I was going to put that shelf across there. That's the bottom part across there. And I was going to put this and make this like my little gun cleaning area. But I was thinking this would be a great place to put my radio equipment. Well, not all of my equipment. I'm not going to make a big Radio Shack out here, but my radio equipment, the computer, you know, and things that I really don't want to start hammering on a counter when I got radios and computers over there. You follow? So by them being over here, it would be different. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. So anyway, let me finish up. The wife just walked in after shopping, so I wanted to get out there and give her a hand real quick. So I'm thinking, like I said, of making this just a little area because it's somewhat, even though it's right here, it's still somewhat separated from all the bull out there, you know, the hammering, the drilling, the cutting, the sawing, and stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to do. But like I said, I was going to use this for my gun stuff, gun cleaning. I was going to put my little gun spray booth up here. I have a little spray booth that I made and a little sandblasting box that I made because I do have a pressurized sandblaster. But you know what? I'm going to have all this room pretty soon cleaned up. And there's a lot of this that's going to be coming back there. So I'll have room here more so to work on some of my gun stuff. I can just use this. I can use it for my gun stuff. And I can put my little spray booth up here and all that. I don't have to worry about the paints freezing because it's closer to the heat. So this will maintain the 50 degrees a lot better than back there will. So, you know, I mean, because as you can see, I keep some of my paints here. I keep them like that because what I do is, when I remember, like now, I turn them. You know, whenever I need to spray something, I'll come up here and I'll just turn it. All right, it's working. I hooked up a timer that was hooked up to that. So I disconnected it from there and hooked it up to here. And I am feeling hot air coming out. And that's good. So it's not going so fast that it's cooling it down. Now they say between 150 or 180 and 250. Now, does that tell me that this somehow is switchable? I don't know. It only had 3 wires, and it wasn't anything there on, you know, which to drive what. It's just a normal 3-wire hookup, white, black, and brown. So I don't see where it was actually coming in at that point, but maybe that has something to do with the CFMs that come in from the other end. If it was hooked up to a blower, you know, on a furnace or something, I don't know. Anyway, now that I know it's working, what I'll do is I'll put a junction box up underneath there. I'll get that in place right here. Right here. I'll put the cover on it with the little timer thingy. And that's about it. Now we did start outside earlier. The wife has been working on it actually while I went to Home Depot. Gotta go down there and go to Home Depot on a weekend. And you think I would have learned by now. You go on the weekend and everybody that's got home projects to do and can't get them done during the week are naturally there on the weekends. So everybody is there except for a full staff. So when you get there, hello. But anyway, this is what the wife's been doing for me, which is fine. So she's been out here heating it up with the heat gun actually. And it's going to have a little flapper front. So we can just put our wood under there and we're all set. Now we still have to heat it up some more because all these wrinkles will come out. And heat shrink actually gets tighter, gets stronger as it gets tighter. So the tighter it gets, the stronger it gets, and it'll actually last longer through the course of the season. So we gotta get up underneath there. So the heat gun works, but nothing like the open flame would work. So what I'm thinking of doing is, I got a kerosene heater out in the shop in that little house over there. We call that the Sturbridge house. There's a little village called the Sturbridge Village up north of us, and they have all these little houses, shacks like that with workshops in them and things. So that's what we call it. But I got a kerosene heater in there, so I'm thinking just get that going, stick it under here, and just the heat from it in itself will shrink this. You know, other than that, we just got to keep using the heat gun, which is going to take a while. Now I did have a weed killer, the flame with the little, you know, on the like an open torch type thing. But the hose sprung a leak. I still have the head and the adjustment. I just haven't got the hose. If I can find a hose, yeah, just buy another one and keep it, because it hooks right up to a propane tank, and I just right, and that will also shrink it down. So I'm going to try a kerosene heater. If that doesn't work, I'll just run down and see if I can find a hose to fit the head, to fit the thingy, then on the gizmo. And if I can find the thingy to fit the gizmo on the head thing, then I can hook it up to the propane and do the shrinking. Makes sense? So, well, here, I'll take you for a walk. Let's go over there and see what we have. Okay, so here's the little Sturbridge house. There's the kerosene heater. There's a little electric heater. So I'm not going to need that. What else? That's, believe it or not, that box is filled with reloading equipment for reload, and it's full. It's heavy, and there it is. It's not mine. A friend of mine said you can either use it or throw it in the shed and just let it sit, and I'll sell it. So I said, okay, it's in the shed, it's sitting, it's not getting wet, however, it's not heated, but it's there. So the thing is, he wants top dollar for this stuff, you know, and it's just not there, you know. I mean, some of it's got some little pit marks on it. I actually did a video on it, I believe. You know, the scales, even though he paid a lot of money for them, I think he paid like $1,000 a piece for the scales, they're nowhere near worth that nowadays. Everything in that box, I would say maybe $400, you know, and he's looking for like $1,200-1,500. I don't see it. So before I spend $1,500 for that, I'd go out and I'd buy one of those, oh shit, I can't think of it now. It does everything for you. You don't have to do anything except fill the hoppers. So, but anyway, okay, oh, there's some tile. I can use that too as a little heat source. I got plans for that. I forgot I had that out here. And here's some copper. I was looking for this too. You know, here's what I was thinking. This summer, if that heat exchanger works and I can get it to work well, this summer, if we're still here, I'm going to take the front off, the front plate off, and I am going to run copper back and forth through there and bring it out so I can put water in there, and at that point hook it up to either a baseboard hot water heater with a small pump as well as the hot air, or just have it so I have hot water out here for myself for the winter. You know, now I'll have to fill the tank, you know, because I haven't got water out here in the winter. I turn it off. But I can very easily just put a 55-gallon drum, you know, a blue tank, somewhere inside the shop. It's not going to freeze, and just hook up a little pump, which I have, and run it through, and I'll have hot water as well. But anyway, you know, sometimes you just start thinking and getting ahead of yourself, and start talking with what they call a paper asshole. So, all right, let me take this heater, see if I can get it working, and then we'll take it from there. Meanwhile, let's take a walk. Whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah, why don't I fall and trip and everything else while I'm at it? Wife did a pretty good job while I was gone. Good for her. Good for her. All right. Let me take it in here so I can go through it first. It's been sitting for about a year. So I'm going to probably have to clean the wick and get some things done. Let me unplug this so we can get that out there. For now, I'll pick that up in a minute. Hey, Nick. All right, so let me get that apart and clean it real quick, and you know, get right back to you guys. Alright, so anyway, we're getting air out of that. When I'm standing here right now, I'm feeling air. If I get closer, it's a little warmer. I just went out and I checked the old hot box, and it was just a few ambers in there. So basically, it all kind of burnt out. So, but there was enough in there to where it would start. So what I did was I just threw half a dozen logs in there, like anywhere from 1 inch to like 3 inch, just enough to get it started and keep it running for another hour or so. I'll know in about 10 minutes, and if it works like it is now, I think I'm going to be okay with it. We'll see what happens, and then once I'm sure as to it working and the timer and everything is working, then I'll get a junction box. I'll hook all that up, get it all up nice and neat and tidy, and call it a night for that. Meanwhile, I filled up the kerosene heater, and we're going to let it sit for a minute because it's been sitting for a year or better, maybe more. So that wick is probably bone dry. I'm hoping that it's good enough to at least strike. I don't care if it burns dirty because it's going to be outside. But, you know, as long as it burns at this point. So we'll see what happens.